A group of reckless high schoolers attempted to break the human-powered water slide record. They poured into the slide like dumplings being tossed into boiling water. The ringleader, annoyed by the lifeguard's presence, shoved her down the slide too. Then, these daredevil teens took turns charging into the slide. As expected, disaster struck. The slide was too dry, causing over a dozen people to get stuck mid-air. The support beams emitted terrifying creaking sounds. The water slide was severely overloaded.
911, what's your emergency?
The amusement park urgently called for rescue. When firefighters arrived, 2 people were dangling precariously from the edge. By then, 3 people had already died on the ground. Firefighters immediately set up a ladder truck for rescue. At this point, the entire group of young people were frozen in terror, unable to move.
You got this, Andre.
Listen to your buddy, okay? You gotta trust me.
Okay.
Here we go. Come on.
They trembled as they climbed the ladder. Soon, most were rescued. Only the ringleader remained. His spine was dislocated, preventing movement. He needed a spine board for stabilization. But just then, the support suddenly swayed again. The rescuer unexpectedly fell, but luckily clung desperately to the steel pipe. The captain ordered an immediate rotation of the ladder, but it failed due to the overload. The trainee firefighter below immediately began climbing barehanded, performing a real-life Tarzan stunt. He leaped onto the support, grabbed the rescuer, and pulled her up with sheer force. The perilous rescue finally succeeded. Let's hope these reckless kids learn their lesson. A drunk driver crashed into a utility pole, causing wires to plummet. Captain Casey ordered everyone to stay put while contacting the power company, who estimated a 15-minute outage. Wires danced wildly over the car's hood, leaving the driver hanging by a thread. Casey decided waiting was impossible. After several attempts, they finally looped a rescue rope around the wires and secured them to a fence. The team then prepared tools to pry open the door. Just as they were about to begin, the overhead transformer short-circuited, erupting in intense flames.
37!
Fortunately, no one was injured. As teammates prepared to extinguish the fire, another wire fell near rookie firefighter Della's feet. She tried calling for backup, but everyone was focused on fighting the blaze and didn't hear her cries. The high-voltage wire lay on the ground, zapping wildly. Delia thought she could handle it. Grabbing an insulated pole, she charged forward, eager to tackle the problem.
Wait!
Her teammates rushed over and quickly took control of the situation. 10 kilovolts of high voltage is no joke. Paramedics arrived to treat her. Fortunately, Delia only suffered a mild concussion and would be fine after a few days of rest. It seems you shouldn't try to handle professional tasks on your own. A tornado had suspended Andre's RV on a bridge, its windshield now shattering with a crackling sound. Firefighter Ryan had to complete the rescue using only a single rescue rope. More critically, the load-bearing cable was beginning to fray, threatening to send the RV plummeting at any moment. To make matters worse, the vehicle was upside down, with all its contents piled up like a mountain. The massive refrigerator, in particular, had completely blocked the passageway. Ryan strained every muscle but couldn't budge the behemoth. The RV swung like a swing, the boy's life hanging by a thread. Ryan was drenched in sweat, yelling into the walkie-talkie, "Captain Mike, what do we do?"
I'd unhooked my rescue line and tied around that fridge. Wait for my signal.
All firefighters clutched the rescue rope with all their might. Simultaneously, Ryan secured the refrigerator. Upon receiving the signal, Mike roared for everyone to exert maximum force. In an instant, the refrigerator slammed upright with a thunderous crash. The blocked passage finally opened. Ryan frantically cleared debris and reached out to rescue the boy. At that very moment,
Right?
just as everyone sank into despair, the walkie-talkie crackled with a response.
Anytime you want to let us down, that'd be great.
That's pretty smooth.
That day, the fire department received a call about heavy smoke inside a house. But before they could even knock on the door, the entire building erupted in flames, blazing skyward. The firefighters were stunned. By experience, a fire like this should take at least half an hour to grow this large. Yet within seconds it became a sea of fire. The homeowner was trapped inside, her life hanging by a thread. Fortunately, the rescue was timely, and Lisa survived. She explained she'd only lit an incense burner, never expecting a spark to drift onto the sofa. Before she could react, the sofa ignited as if doused in gasoline. instantly transforming the living room into a fiery inferno. Firefighter Herman immediately suspected the sofa was the culprit. His inspection confirmed it was made entirely of polyurethane foam, essentially solid gasoline. Fuming, Herman confronted the furniture company's CEO about the safety hazard. The product manager spouted corporate jargon, insisting their products met minimum safety standards and were fully compliant. Herman nearly exploded on the spot. He then spent $50,000 of his own money to buy a new sofa. He ambushed the CEO at his commute, conducting a live burn test right in front of him. Seconds later, the sofa erupted in flames, the CEO's face practically sizzling. Yet the CEO stubbornly insisted the company was completely legal. Instead of losing his temper, Herman pleaded with them to prioritize consumer safety. The firefighters didn't roar or threaten. They simply convinced him through action. Finally, the CEO had a change of heart and decided to upgrade the product with safer materials. Herman breathed a sigh of relief. If all companies acted like this, society would see far fewer tragedies. George's lifelong dream was to ride in a fighter jet, and his wish was about to come true at home. A $70 million F-16 fighter jet was delivered with pinpoint accuracy, crashing straight through the wall and turning the entire house into a ventilation system. The arriving firefighters were collectively dumbfounded. This season's rescue missions were something else. It turned out that just moments earlier, pilot Mark had experienced a malfunction during training. He ejected and landed, only to get stuck on the chimney. The dispatcher was baffled. "Mark, what about your plane?" Mark calmly replied, "Don't worry. It'll land itself. Just ask George's house." George's wife was terrified but thankfully unharmed. George, however, was pinned under the sofa by the plane, unable to move. His legs were numb, and he was struggling to breathe. The firefighters considered dismantling the sofa to rescue him. George panicked. "That's my family heirloom. If anyone touches it, I'll kill myself." The firefighters had no choice but to decide to dismantle the plane instead. Just as they were about to begin, Eddie noticed fuel leaking. A single spark could wipe them all out in seconds. Even more absurdly, the plane carried 2 air-to-air missiles. The crew nearly wet themselves. Fortunately, the pilot explained they were training rounds, though still powerful enough to blow a house to smithereens. The bomb squad was still en route, but George couldn't wait. The pilot remotely guided them through disarming the explosives. Eddie's palms were drenched in sweat. He unscrewed the casing to reveal 3 wires: red, green, and blue.
Okay, go ahead and snip that red wire.
Just as Eddie prepared to cut the wires,
But first, disconnect the white low-voltage coupling.
Eddie followed the instructions, but the next second, the voice on the other end said,
Okay, go ahead and cut that green wire.
Eddie began doubting his own ears. Had he misheard?
Did I?
Yeah.
You said red.
You sure?
Yes, you said red.
Okay, let's go with red.
This statement left the entire team utterly bewildered. How did they end up in this mess? Team Dr. Han urged them to decide quickly. George was nearing his limit. But damn it, was it red or green? No one dared move. Then Dr. Han decisively ordered, "Cut the red wire." Though the pilot had been knocked out, his first instinct was likely correct. The crew felt like dying right then and there. Eddie was grinding his teeth but still couldn't bring himself to act. Just then, Han spotted a lift lever under the sofa. He pressed it gently, and George was safely released. The entire crew froze in shock for a second. Eddie was on the verge of tears. Thank God, they'd dodged another bullet today. This job was truly inhuman. Worker Mike slipped into a cement silo, gasping for air. As firefighters prepared to rescue him, the boss ignored their warnings and violently opened the discharge valve. A torrent of cement poured down, violently crushing Mike. His eyes were bloodshot, and his vital signs rapidly deteriorated. The rescue team decisively cut the pressure relief valve. Using air monitors, they rappelled down to assess the situation. Firefighters then positioned themselves on the viscous cement using backboards as support. After securing Mike with a safety line, they discovered he had already lost consciousness. Oxygen levels were rapidly dropping. Upon receiving orders, teammates immediately pumped air into the confined space, quickly restoring oxygen levels to normal. Though the situation was temporarily stabilized, Mike's body remained deeply embedded in the cement. Forced extraction would only intensify the pressure. Firefighters decided to reopen the drainage valve to relieve pressure for Mike. As the cement slowly drained away, teammates frantically dug. Seeing the moment was ripe, those above pulled on the rope, hauling Mike upward. Paramedics sprang into action, pulling Mike back from the brink of death. Mary had come to the hospital just to have a mole checked. only to be told she had a terminal illness with only days to live. She wept uncontrollably. 60-year-old intern John was on the verge of breaking down facing such heartbreak on his first day of work. He quickly reported the situation to the attending physician. John was stunned. Wasn't the patient a woman? They quickly cross-checked the patient information and discovered it was John's presbyopia playing tricks. He'd mistaken room 212 for 213. Both men broke out in cold sweat and rushed to rectify the situation. But Mary had already tearfully processed her discharge paperwork. To make matters worse, they couldn't reach her by phone. John dashed out of the hospital and didn't return until evening. He'd gone to Mary's home and convinced her to come back by claiming her medical bills were unpaid. But Mary had already made arrangements for her own death. She'd fired her boss, broken up with her boyfriend, and booked a flight to Iceland to wait for death there.
You're, not going to die, Miss Fitzroy.
Not?
There was a mix-up with your labs. You're going to live, hopefully a very long, healthy life.
Hearing this, Mary thought, "You might as well kill me." Furious, she vowed to sue the hospital. But the next day brought a dramatic reversal. Mary came to thank Dr. Gray and John in person. It turned out the attending physician had waived all her medical fees and introduced her to a wealthy, handsome widower. Now she couldn't stop smiling. Mary's life had completely turned around.